Hi, my name is Karuana Gatimu, and I work for Microsoft IT in the Discovery and Collaboration Group. And you are watching SharePoint Television. Thanks for joining us. I have the pleasure of hosting a segment with lots of the luminaries in the SharePoint community. And with me today is Mark Rackley and Christian Buckley, two of my great friends from the SharePoint community, and we're going to talk about what community means to them in this segment. Mark, you want to tell us a little bit about you?
Sure, my name is Mark Rackley, as you said, and I work for Summit 7 Systems as a solutions architect, and I do solutions architecture in SharePoint.
Yes, you do.
Yes,
excellent.
I do.
That's very good. All right, Christian?
And my name is Christian Buckley. I'm the Director of Product Evangelism for Exceller. We're a gold ISV. We do SharePoint stuff.
You do SharePoint
yeah.
stuff.
Mostly.
You do a lot. Yeah, absolutely.
I've
Well,
heard
great.
you
Well,
guys.
thank you both for being here today. Let's talk a little bit about community.
2008, I discovered the SharePoint community. I went to a local community event called Tulsa Tech Fest, where I met Eric Schups and Becky Isserman, both SharePoint MVPs, and I realized that people actually know this stuff, right? So from there, I started getting involved on Twitter, I started my own blog, and now I'm speaking at events. So it was a really a great experience for learning it, and it's really important to me because I live in Harrison, Arkansas, right, which is in the middle of nowhere. The closest SharePoint person is like 100 miles away. So if it weren't for the SharePoint community, I would have no connections and no outlet. I would have no place to go when I ran into these problems. So it's been vital to me to learn this stuff.
And you bring up a really good point, because I think a lot of people in the SharePoint community came into it the way you're referring to, where we were single teams of one, right, basically.
Right.
And it was amazing. For me, it was amazing to be able to find other people who were along the path with me. And I know that, Christian, you've traveled so much with regard to different events all around the world. Tell us a little bit about how SharePoint community works on an international level.
Well, I think that there's a variety of different types of user groups that are out there. There are some that are focused on SharePoint, some that are .NET, some that are just Microsoft technology, and other just broader technologies where the groups are kind of coming together and talking about SharePoint. A lot of what I see, there are one or two companies that get involved and they've got their end users and they say, this is something, we want to kind of seed this with voices from outside of the company, and there you kind of spawn this community user group. But a lot of them, people are still like over lunch getting together. It's unofficial. It's there's not sponsors. It's not at a fancy location. It's just people getting together on a regular basis, talking about what's working, what's not working in their environments, kind of sharing those experiences. And so a lot of the travels that I do is meeting with partners and customers, but also with these various groups, just trying to understand what are they doing, what are they struggling with. And a lot of, with my experience, having run user groups and having started nonprofits, giving them advice on how to help them grow their user groups, finding a lot of people asking those questions. A lot of times it's just, there's this fear of the unknown, so it's really just helping them understand that there's a lot of us that are out there in the community that are willing to step up and help them create something.
Absolutely, and I think the breadth and depth of the SharePoint community is pretty amazing. And I see your posts on Facebook, I see your posts on Twitter. How has social media really influenced your ability to reach out to people in your area, especially being so far away from a major market? What's that like?
Right, well, if it wasn't for social media, I would have no outlet, right? If it wasn't for social media, I wouldn't know these people at the conference. Without social media, I wouldn't be speaking at this conference. So I would really be stuck in my cubicle, banging my head against the wall, figuring out why my site's not working were it not for social media.
Exactly.
Right. One of the stories I tell in one of my sessions is I had this problem where I created a web application and I got one of those wonderful SharePoint errors, right? It just did unknown error, right? Unknown error. So I thought maybe SharePoint just didn't understand what I was trying to do, so I recreated the site again, unknown error. So about the fifth time, after retrying to do it, I went to Twitter and just started saying what wonderful things I thought about SharePoint at that moment. And I got a message from a guy who works for Microsoft named Isaac Stith, who was living in Denmark at the time. He said, get on MSN. So I got on MSN. He said, go download this application. I went and downloaded this application he told me to. He said, go to this setting and tell me what that number in that setting is. And I said, it says this number. He said, change that to this number. And I changed it. And it started working.
It's amazing.
Right?
It's an amazing experience. Yeah. Do either one of you, Christian, have you used SP Help or responded to that Twitter hashtag SP Help? For the folks out there who don't know about it, it's a Twitter hashtag that you can use to ask questions of the online community. For me, it's been really helpful. I've definitely used it myself, and I just
pointed people to it. And, you know, I think Twitter in general, I think if you know people and have relationships with folks out there, sure, but you can just go and use the hashtag for SharePoint, and SP Help is great. Now that there's the Yammer community for the SharePoint community, there's a lot of great resources where somebody who doesn't know anybody can instantly be plugged in and ask questions and get responses back.
Right.
And I think it's really important for people, especially if they're new or they're expanding their career within the community, to understand that all of us are here to help. We're approachable, we want to have conversations with people, and we want to be of service. So
that's actually the hardest thing, is like going to the different events is like telling the audience, so I'm not just saying that at the end, like come and ask questions. Let me know if I don't know the answer. I know someone who does know the answer. Let's get you connected with them. And the response is usually slow on that.
Right, and that's the best thing about the community. If I don't know the answer, I know somebody who does.
Exactly.
I know the guy that wrote the book. I know the guy that wrote the blog. I know the guy at Microsoft. Because of the community, I have those contacts, and I can call him on the phone and ask him the question.
And it makes us more effective as professionals, being able to be social like that and reach out to those people, and it's also a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think this community is a tremendous amount of fun.
It's like a big support group.
It is.
Right?
It is a support group.
I'm Mark, and I use SharePoint.
I know. Exactly. It's important because, SharePoint is a complicated product, and I think it's important for all of us to band together to get the most out of it. So, and that requires kind of one-on-one relationships. It's really useful.
Absolutely.
So, speaking of that, tell me something, Christian, that people don't know about you. Tell me one thing people don't know about you.
SharePoint related or just in general?
Well, it's PG, right? We have to keep this fair. One of each is
started
good.
college at 15.
Wow, college
You know
at
that?
15. No, I did not know that. That is really impressive.
It's impressive.
I'm not going to share with you what I was doing at 15.
I knew that.
I'm just not going to do that right now, so, well, that's an offline conversation. Excellent. Mark?
I have no clue what I'm doing. I'm kidding. I was actually in an independent film with a guy named Tony Hale, who was Buster Bluth from Arrested Development.
Oh, that's great.
So, yeah.
That's really great.
You were fully clothed though, right?
For most of the movie, I was fully clothed. If you go to the outtakes at the end, I can't promise.
It's very important. So no, it's important to remain fully clothed whenever we're, dealing with community issues. So what do you think is going to happen next? I mean, for us, being at Microsoft is really exciting for me because I think this is an absolutely pivotal time for the product and for the company as a whole. How do you feel about that, Christian?
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, you certainly see the maturity of the platform, adoption in North America. I mean, you have pretty broad adoption across the Fortune 500. Outside of the US, there's a lot of growth potential still. Certainly as more companies that are looking at taking it offline, looking at the cloud, whether it's through pure cloud or in a hybrid model, it's going to be interesting to see. I think more and more companies that are asking about the social aspects of SharePoint. Hopefully we'll hear some more about that this week. I'm hoping to hear more.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I have a session on Wednesday at 3:15 on CSOM and Social with Eric Carlin.
I did not know that,
Yes,
Mark.
it's at 3:15 on
Very
Wednesday.
exciting. Very exciting.
But no, so yeah, what he said.
And actually, and that's funny, but most of us are presenting on our various topics, areas of expertise, and I think it's important for people to go ahead and, if they can't make our session, make sure to download the presentation materials afterwards, reach out and talk to us, reach out on Twitter, get engaged with us, because, there's so much content here at the SharePoint conference that sometimes it's difficult to be able to see everything you want to see. Right?
And you're in Vegas, so it's kind of hard to get out of bed sometimes. So,
Exactly.
At least stumble in before the end, grab some business cards of whoever's speaking.
Absolutely.
Work it out later.
Exactly. You have to balance. We're trying to have, a balanced life here, right? A little
Absolutely.
fun, a little SharePoint, a little learning. That's what it's all about. So I really want to thank both of you for coming out and coming on to SharePoint Television. It's a great experience to be here. I know both of you have helped me tremendously, so I really want to thank you for that. And I encourage everyone out there to find Christian Buckley and Mark Rackley out on Twitter. They both have blogs, and of course Christian has one thing. Tell me that real quickly.
I'll be recording a lot of those. So I have almost 200 of these videos, these community videos that I've MVPs, MCMs, just well-known figures in the community, and I'll be recording 2013 versions all week this week. So if you've been in one in the past and would like to do one for 2013, come find me.
That'll be wonderful. And Mark, your blog?
It's SharePointHillbilly.com, right? Like I said, I live in Arkansas in the middle of nowhere. I can't make this stuff up. So.
It's great. Authenticity, that's the name of the game, right? It's very important. So once again, thanks for watching this segment on SharePoint Television. We'll be back again shortly with more excellent folks from the SharePoint community. This is Karuana Gatimu signing out. Thanks.
Woo, Karuana!